It started with a missing kid, then another, both brothers brutally murdered, just blocks from home. The suspect, a 15-year-old neighbor. But what happened in court still stuns true crime fans today. This is the Elliott brothers case. Okay, so picture this. It's November 1973, and Houston is still shaken to its core after the Dean Corll murders. You know, the Candyman case. 27 teenage boys, all tortured and killed by Corll and his teenage accomplices. It was horrifying. It felt like the whole city was trying to breathe again after that nightmare. But just as people were starting to feel a little safer, something else happened. On November 15th, 12-year-old Ronald Lynn Elliott is reported missing by his parents. He was one of 6 kids, and both he and his younger brother Kenneth were in special ed classes at their elementary school. Ronald was kind of a quiet kid. He'd spend hours walking around the neighborhood collecting soda bottles for spare change. A lot of neighbors knew him by sight. A few days go by. No one hears from Ronald. Then 5 days later, November 20th, police find his body in the woods, less than half a mile from his home. What they found was beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Ronald's body was badly decomposed. He was nearly decapitated, sexually mutilated. His stomach was slashed open. He was wearing brown pants and tennis shoes, but his shirt, completely soaked in blood, was found about 60 feet away. The medical examiner ruled it. A stab to the heart killed him. He'd been dead about 5 days before they found him. Police searched for leads, clues, anything, but nothing stuck. The case went cold. Now, here's where it gets even more tragic. After Ronald's murder, the family was traumatized. Obviously. His parents didn't want to take any chances. They told Kenneth, who was just 11, that he wasn't allowed to go out alone anymore. At all. He was basically on lockdown. But on Tuesday, May 7th, 1974, Kenneth gets home from school and begs his 17-year-old brother Walter to let him go to the neighborhood grill to grab a snack. Walter says no, but Kenneth sneaks out anyway. The woman who owned the grill, Martha Stewart, remembers seeing him. She sold him a soda. Last known sighting. After that, he disappears. That same day, Kenneth's parents report him missing. And this time, the search is intense. Horseback officers, helicopters, everything. The next day, May 8th, tragedy strikes again. Deputies on horseback find Kenneth's clothes in the woods. About 50 feet away, they find his body. And it's brutal, just like Ronald. Kenneth had been castrated, disemboweled, and decapitated, just like his brother. And then, 2 hours later, they find his head, propped up against a tree, covered in pine needles. The autopsy? It showed he was stabbed twice in the heart. But here's the worst part. He was still alive when he was being decapitated. The parents couldn't even bring themselves to attend Kenneth's funeral. It was just too much. And Houston, already haunted by the Corll murders, was back in panic mode. But this time, police were sure it wasn't Corll. His 2 accomplices had already been in custody since the previous August. This was something new. And here's a creepy twist. The Elliott's 18-year-old son, Steve, was actually the estranged husband of Deborah Cobble, the widow of one of Corll's victims, Charles Cobble. Just an eerie coincidence, but still. That same night Kenneth was found, police get a tip. A teenage boy tells his dad that a friend gave him a knife, 5-inch blade, and asked him to hide it, saying there might be cops at his house that night. The dad, after seeing the news about Kenneth's murder, goes straight to the police. That night, they arrest 15-year-old Lawrence Anthony Stremple Jr. He lives super close to the Elliots. People had seen him around Kenneth that day. Now get this. Lawrence wasn't some unknown troublemaker. He was just a regular sophomore in high school. His principal said he was average intelligence. One classmate said people knew who he was, but no one really knew him. Another said he'd been picked on a lot. Small kid, awkward haircut, kind of quiet. He was only 5'3", 100 pounds. People said he looked more like he was 12 than 15. His dad, a strict construction worker, made him keep his hair cut super short, like a 1/4 inch all around. After his parents divorced in '72, Lawrence lived with his dad, who won custody of all 5 kids. But eventually, the others went to live with their mom, and Lawrence stayed with his dad, a guy whose truck was covered in bumper stickers for conservative causes. When reporters showed up to the juvenile court hearing on May 7th, Stremple's dad cursed them out. His mom and stepdad showed up too, but neither of them said a word to the press. The court held Lawrence for 10 days while they figured out whether to charge him as an adult. And here's where things get controversial. If Stremple was tried as an adult, he'd be facing life in prison. But if he was tried as a juvenile, he'd get 2 years at a reform school. And then, that's it. Released at 18 with his record wiped clean. like it never happened. At first, the case against him looked solid: the knife, the timing, his connection to the victims. But then it hit a major snag. The prosecution's key evidence was a confession Lawrence made to police when he was arrested. But since he was a minor and his attorney wasn't present, the statement was tossed. Inadmissible. Without it, the case fell apart. The court ruled he'd be tried as a juvenile, sentenced to 2 years at Mountain View State School. No further charges once he got out. Just free. The community was furious. Parents protested. They called it a slap on the wrist for something unthinkable. Betty Elliott, the boy's mom, said, "There is no justice if he is turned loose." Their father, Martin Elliott, told reporters, "I would do anything to keep him off the streets. Something needs to be done. It's too late for my sons. It's other persons I'm worried about." And that's it. Strempel served his time, and when he turned 18, he walked free.